Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the Media Pass Podcast. It has been a few days since I recorded the last episode, and not too much has gone on. I guess that's not true. We had a long weekend, nice to kind of step away from the desk, get a little bit of family time in, so we did do that, I guess, a little bit. And then on top of that, I did go for a little bit of a drive and a little BMW car meetup. As you guys are probably familiar, I, of course, have my 1 Series, and I have some buddies of mine who also own BMWs of various models. So, yeah, it was nice to get out on a group drive with them. And meet some new people as well, which was a lot of fun. Fun fact about that, before we dive into today's topic, I would not categorize myself as maybe like a natural leader. But I did show up just a few minutes late to that car event, and then we ended up rolling out. And I guess, the drive route naturally, I think, happened to be closer to my kind of home area. And these are the canyons that I rip on good occasion, I would say. At least I'm driving through there a couple times a month anyway. So it kind of just happened that I was part of that leading group, and then through the canyons as well. Everyone goes at their own speed, I would say. And as the kind of like the front guy, I wasn't sure how to dictate the pace and whatnot. But I just figured, keep someone in my rearview mirror so that the group knows where to go. But it's an odd feeling leading a group. Not sure if I totally liked it, although, I made a couple decisions to go to like a photo location and kind of like splinter off the main road and get us out of some traffic, which was the idea anyway. I think it was good that I just, made a decision to a certain extent, as opposed to, just kind of like passively leading a group, and then it just ends up being this boring drive. People can respect the fact that you took a decision, but either way, I think the drive went really well. Got some cool photos, which if you follow my 1 Series account, maybe you saw some of those photos. We were able to line up pretty much all of the cars with a cool backdrop, and I think it worked really well. And then I'm not too into the whole Facebook realm, but I am a part of that Facebook group, and it sounds like the reviews are pretty good from the day. So, good drive overall, good people. Nice to kind of wake up in the morning and stretch the metaphorical legs of the car anyway. And then stretch my legs as well, of course. But good stuff. Well, diving into this morning's topic, and we're going to keep this one a little bit short, as despite being up early this morning, I have kind of a heavier workload for my work job, if that makes any sense. So we do need to keep this episode a little bit brief, unfortunately. Maybe I'll follow up with a part 2 here again with a guest. So I think that would be good to kind of continue to explore the topic we're going to touch on today. And you guys are on the edge of your seats here because I haven't really brought up what the topic is. But today's topic is film. That's right, film, folks. Yes, we're diving into the deep end. So what do I mean by that? Obviously, I would say 100% of my work is on digital cameras of some sort, primarily my A7R Mark III, which I have all of my gear listed on my YouTube channel, but then also on my personal website. If you guys are interested, go check that out. It's just my name, DylanScarsoni.com. But I shoot primarily on digital cameras, and I think there's a ton of benefits to it, like the ability to take 9,000 plus photos per SD card, and then just reformat the card when you're done, plop it back in the camera, and take another 9,000 photos. So it's a pretty fantastic thing. But I've been, I would say, bitten by that film camera hype, if you will. And I know I'm way late to the game because I've been watching YouTube videos now, kind of educate myself on it, and it looks like spanning all the way back to 2019 is kind of when that first film craze started back up on Instagram. And I think primarily, if I've done my research right, it was a lot of like Kendall Jenner kind of thing, where she brought certain film cameras back from the dead almost. So we'll touch on that just a little bit, and I'll touch on my foray into kind of the film experience, as I did buy. Well, actually, no, I didn't buy a film camera. That's part of the story. Um, but the reason I'm kind of pausing or leading up to a pause real quick is I'm sitting here. It is currently 6:16 a.m. I got out here. I snapped a quick photo, but since the 15 minutes have passed, or even less than that, the sun has peeked over the horizon, and unbelievable, guys. There's really no way for me to capture it best. I got the iPhone out here. Let me just grab a quick shot. I don't know if this photo will ever make the light of day, and it's not great because I got a fence right in front of me. But wow, what a morning. What a morning. In the past, when I film these podcasts, it's usually kind of like gray, overcast weather. So it's hard to actually see the sky even. It's just gray. It's nice. It's got like a cool, chilling morning effect to it, which feels good. But this is different, guys. I think we're getting into the summer months anyway. It's June officially. It's the 1st of June. So maybe the weather's changing a little bit, but you get these warmer mornings. I think that's how it works. And the clouds just can't build, and you get the sun rays coming through. It really is fantastic. So in the spirit of my podcast setup being versatile, and hopefully not too much feedback in the microphone here, I'm going to attempt... Oh, boy. Oh, yes, we are mobile, folks. I just need to get a picture of this thing. Oh. Yes, okay, here we go. I got the regular iPhone flick going up here. Let's get a wide angle. Wow. All right, so I would say the primary reason why we're having this particular podcast about film cameras today is for the fact that I visited my grandma's house 2 days ago, Memorial Day. And my grandfather served in, I think, the Korean War, maybe one or two others. So it was good to see kind of my grandma on Memorial Day. Me and my brother spent kind of the whole afternoon there and hanging out. It was a good time. We made dinner, played some games, watched some shows. Yeah, overall, just a very enjoyable evening. But as a part of that conversation, I kind of mentioned that I was interested in the film genre. And she knows I'm a photographer, so kind of natural progression there. And she mentioned that there might be a few film cameras upstairs. So naturally, I took a look. And the next sound is... Oh yeah, baby. We got ourselves a film camera. So let me just take a brief pause to snap this photo, because I'm looking at some sun rays that are peeking through some valleys here. And I got the blue sky over. Oh, it's fantastic. Let me just snap a photo on the old film camera, shall we? Oh, baby. So, oh man, I'm debating whether I want to snap one more. Oh, see, it's all about lining up the composition. Hold on, give this a listen. Oh yeah, baby. Ooh, come on now. What do we want to shoot? Really gotta focus now on what angle you want to capture and everything that you want in frame here. Oh yeah, baby. I want lines, baby, leading lines. There it is. All right, cool. Oh man. So I'm liking this film thing so far. And it is almost bringing me back to the original days of getting that first electronic or digital DSLR camera. Apologies for any feedback here. We're getting set back up. There it is. And we're back. Yeah, it's kind of harkened back to the original days where photography was so new, and you would get a brand new lens, or your first camera body that's like legit, and all of a sudden you're snapping photos of literally everything in the backyard because you haven't had time to even line up a shoot yet. I'm back to those days. I'm back to anything and everything that's interesting. Let me line up and snap that shutter, which is very exciting. But it also, due to the nature of film photography, you can't just squeeze the shutter at literally everything you find interesting. You have to pick your shots. And the reason for that is, of course, now we don't have unlimited storage space. We have 36 or in some cases 24 slides or frames per reel of film. So you kind of have to spend a lot more time. You slow down significantly in order to capture each shot. Let me grab a quick sip of coffee here. So I am very excited for this film. What do you even want to call that? Film era that I'm about to enter. So yeah, it's exciting, and I should mention first and foremost, as cool as the shots are that I'm getting right now, there's a chance I don't see any of them, because this roll of film that I have in the camera currently is, I don't see an expiration date on it, but it was in the bag along with all the other film stuff, and I found a couple of batteries, and I think there was like some sort of like pamphlet or cleaning cloth or something. And I think the sale date on it was like 1994. So there's a good chance this is like 20 or 30-year-old film in the camera, so it's probably not going to work. But if it was in the canister the whole time, I don't know. There's a chance that these photos will develop. There's also a good chance that they won't. So currently I am on frame... Oh wow, we have really been getting to work. I'm on frame 33 out of 36. I purposefully have been blowing through it with the expectation that it's kind of useless. But I figured since it was already in the camera, let's just run through it. And then, I'll pick up some more legit, newer film anyway. And we can begin our exciting career. So I don't really know. Let's start with the basics, shall we? Let's start with what we've got. So my film haul, and my grandma was gracious enough, basically just laid it out and said, I have no more use for these cameras. I'm glad they're going to someone who is interested and is going to snap a lot of photos. So, definitely I'm going to share the photos with her. But the cameras that we ended up with here, and I don't know one from the next, so it's impossible for me to say whether they're good or not. Two of them were, I would say, newer, more digital-esque, electronic point-and-shoot cameras. So one of them was a zoom, like a powered zoom. I'm not sure who the make was. And then the other one was a Vivitar, 30, I think it was a 32 millimeter focal length. I don't know. I had done my research, and it seems like the Contax T2 is the camera of all cameras. And then, of course, I think they have like a T3 or even a T1. So the Contax, those are, I guess, like top dogs in the film world, supposedly. I've seen some of the results of what people have been able to capture on those, especially with some Portra 400, which I'm learning is the film of choice as well. And the photos are incredible. Like the sharpness, the contrast, the colors, everything comes out of the camera spot on. It's a beautiful look, and I think I think that's kind of the beauty of that camera, is the quality of image you get is unbelievable. And then when you mix in on top of that, it's like a full titanium body. It's sleek, it's sexy, it looks like it could have rolled off the production line last year kind of thing. It's a nice camera. And I think by nature of it being a point and shoot, it really doesn't lend itself to this whole, you got to set up, you got to manually focus, you got to do all this, it's just a headache. You just hit the on button, you line up the shot, you snap the shutter. It was as sleek and as kind of like trimmed down as a photo, like a film photo experience could get. So not out of the question. I still kind of want one, but I guess where I'm going with this, and if you're not familiar with how the film landscape has developed, and I'm only just now scratching the surface, but apparently you could have gotten that camera in 2017, 2018 for $200 online, maybe $300 or $400, because it's just a decent camera. Nowadays, if you want even just like an average spec one or one with dents and whatnot, you're looking at $1,000, and then a perfect condition all the way up to like $2,000 in some cases. So I don't think it justifies spending the money. But as long as the film craze still exists, I feel like the floor for that camera's pricing now is just significantly higher. You're not going to find any lower because I feel like the market has just accepted this new price. So it's kind of an interesting parity there. Not a big economist, but yeah, fascinating how that works. Supply and demand, they're not making them anymore. And they became really popular. So yeah, that pretty much explains it. But yes, so the cameras I walked away with are two digital cameras, which I feel like I'll probably try out the Vivitar thing just a little bit. Maybe I'll just like keep it in the glove box of my car, and anytime I'm anywhere with the car that I think is an interesting shot, I'll whip it out and grab a shot. But the one that has more interest in me, and I don't know, I Google searched it once, but I didn't look at how it ranks compared to other cameras, is this Olympus OM10. I don't know, here again, one from the next, but I'm glad when I pulled it out of the bag, it wasn't some old Canon camera. Not that I am hating on Canon. If they want to sponsor me, I could shoot on a Canon. But yeah, no, I feel like visually the appearance of this camera is somewhat sleek. It definitely has the classic, like um, very vintage film camera look to it. And I'm just staring at it now. Man, if there's one thing I can preach about photography, it is that good lighting is the key to happiness. Just grabbing a quick shot here. Good lighting is the key to happiness. There's nothing you could take this photo 10 different times, 10 different times a day, and it'll come out different. But I got this early morning sunrise, soft sun, just kissing the side of this camera, and it looks gorgeous. So anyway, it's an Olympus OM10 interchangeable lens camera, film of course, and as far as I can tell, it is like 90% manual. It takes two tiny little batteries, and I guess I have yet to officially process any of the photos, but I believe it meters the light for you to some extent. I have no idea. And then it's either able to balance the exposure through the shutter, or I'm not sure. I usually shoot with manual focus because there is no autofocus, and a manual aperture ring as well, which typically I have almost wide open, which doesn't seem right. And I understand that different film speeds will require kind of that different balance, because that is essentially the ISO of what would be a normal digital camera. So it's currently has some 200 speed ISO or 200 speed film in there at the moment. It'll be interesting. Before I end up feeding another roll, and I'm going to get this roll developed and make sure I'm actually doing it right, and make sure that they're not all just either completely black or completely white photos. But it seems like it's working, so I'm going to go with it until this roll is empty. But so far the shooting experience has been very nice. It's got that mechanical kind of slide advance, mechanism on the right top corner. Operate that with the thumb. It's got this, you can kind of like over crank the ISO, or I guess the like the film stock if you wanted, so you can tell it what you have in there, or you can manually select and either over or underexpose your film, which I think is a really cool feature. Not all cameras have this, because I think there's some sort of like, I'm going to say it wrong, but it's like a DM or a DX code or something. But it basically tells the camera what kind of film is in the camera, and I think there's ways to like put an older sticker or a different film sticker over that, so the camera will read that one, and then you can kind of trick it into shooting higher or lower. That just seems like a headache. Having a dial on the front that I can just automatically select is fantastic. It does have an auto mode, so I get the sense that it could, in theory, read whatever film stock I've got in there. And it, oddly enough, has a timer on the other side of the camera body as well. I'm not sure how that works, but maybe I should try that. I should try that at some point. But other than that, that is about it on the camera. It's a very kind of basic setup, but luckily for me, I was going through kind of the camera bag that they had up there, and I guess this was the main travel camera for a long period of my grandparents' life, so that's exciting, and I probably more excited to see a lot of the photos that they took with this camera while traveling. Um, you know, all the stories on there, the cool photos, if they're handing it off to a stranger to get both of them in the shot, the places that they went, things they experienced. And I'm also kind of curious to see how my grandma or grandpa lined up their shots. As a photographer, I'm always looking at the angle and the leading lines and all this kind of stuff. I mean, if you're documenting a vacation, family trip, you're probably not looking into the, I guess, like the fundamentals of the shot too much. It's more the content, but it'll be interesting to see either way. But yes, so it came with a collection of lenses. Currently, I have on the 24. Nope, that's wrong. It's a 28 millimeter focal length f2.8 lens. I don't know the make of it, but I'm assuming it's Olympus because it fits with this whole body incredibly well. Lens is made in Korea, fascinating as that is, and knowing my grandfather's history with, fighting for the country, the U.S. in Korea, or the Korean War anyway. It's an interesting decision why he went with that. Maybe it was purchased, I don't know. So the camera came out in 1979, and my history is not great, but that timing kind of sounds right, doesn't it? I have no idea. Oh my gosh. No, not the best American history. I used to be good at the whole I'm not even gonna begin. But either way, so it came with a 28 millimeter f2.8. It also came with a 50 millimeter 1.8, which I think will be nice for some portraits or even some car photos if I end up kind of slapping that bad boy on there. It's really, for me, it's more about just capturing the moment. So I think the 28 is probably the best for that because it's a good blend of medium to wide. So I feel like it's a good all-round lens. We'll try it out. But what else did it come with? There was like a 35 to 75, I want to say, in the bag, as well as I think it's a 150. No, it might be a 70 to 300. It's like a zoom lens. It's fascinating too. So as I was digging through this bag, of course, I own one Tamron lens, which I'm trying to sell, by the way. So if you're interested in a 17 to 28 f2.8, let me know. Hit me up on Instagram. But I own a Tamron lens. I own multiple Sigma lenses, and then the rest I think are Sony at this point. But as I was rummaging through the bag, I found it so fascinating. I was pulling out like Tamron lens caps, and the big long lens, the 70 to 300, is a Sigma lens. It is bizarre to think that same company is churning out the same lens that they did 20, 30, 40 years ago, however old that lens is, to the lens that I bought last year. And the technology has changed vastly. I would say lens quality feels superior anyway, although I feel like glass making was probably at its height. Maybe there's like some nano etch, layering on top of the film of the glass or whatnot. Maybe that's improved, but for the most part, I feel like the optics have been good back in the day, and that's because, you look back at some photos snapped in history, and they're still pretty optically very sharp. And then we were doing like the, telescopes and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's nothing new. But fascinating to see the same brands still circle around. And yeah, I don't know. Found that fascinating. This Sigma lens, maybe I'll do a video on all my film stuff, but it is bizarre how many different directions it moves. So it's got a built-in lens hood at the very top, which slides in and out, and you can feel the weight of this, like the slide action. It doesn't slide like metal on metal. It's gross. There's like oil in between those like gaps where it would slide, and it's so smooth. It's unreal. So that moves in and out at the very tip of the barrel. The entire barrel telescopes in and out manually, of course. It's not one where you rotate a ring and it twists out. I don't think the gear mechanisms kind of were able to be made that small, or nobody had come up with that idea yet. So you manually have to like pull the the lens apart. Like you grab the outside part, you grab the inside part, or wherever it's attached to the camera body, and you literally separate, and that's how you zoom. Fascinating there. And then on top of that, the same mechanism that is sliding in and out can be rotated, and that's how you, I guess, change your focus. So I snapped one photo on there yesterday, but it is a funky lens. I'll tell you this. You got like rotating bits and pulling and pushing, and it's just weird. So that's an interesting one. But I've been shooting on the 28 primarily, and I like it. I probably will have that on there most of the time, and then if I do maybe like a photo shoot with this camera at any point, maybe I throw the 50 on there and grab a couple of portraits, but we'll see. But I would say the most exciting thing about this whole experience is the fact that it slows me down when taking photos. So I'll look at, a lot of the photos obviously I take on a photo shoot. You'll snap maybe 1,000, 2,000 photos depending on the shoot, or if it's an event, some sort of cars and coffee or something. You just run around snapping photos, whatever you think looks cool, and then in Lightroom you select the ones you want to edit and literally delete the rest. That's kind of the workflow. So I would say I take in to Lightroom maybe around, 5 to 10% of the photos I snap, and then on top of that, maybe I won't even edit all of them. You just parse out. So you give yourself a lot of opportunity for success, but with the film thing, you don't have the ability to just throw away slides. I mean, at the end of the day, you probably will, just because they don't turn out quite how you had expected, but for the most part, you really need to think about every single shot that you line up, and I welcome that. Because I think, with social media and all this, it's the buzz. You got to get a bunch of shots, then bring those shots back to the camera or the computer, edit them up, export the phone, from the phone to the social media platform of choice, and that's kind of the cycle. Whereas this one, it's more, cool, I snapped the photo, I'm still at the beach. Instead of rushing home or, Wi-Fi transferring it to my phone to post, I'm just going to stare at the view for a little while. It's a slower process, but I like that. I welcome that. And I'm not saying there's no place for digital. Obviously there is, but I'm just thinking there's a bigger portion of the pie that should be dedicated to film for me. So we're trying it out. And I guess I'm a little bit part of that as well as the whole film debate. I've read a lot of reviews on different types of films, and seems like Portra 400 is kind of like GOAT in the film world. It apparently is very expensive and hard to come by now. I've been looking around. I haven't been able to find it, but I also haven't really been in my dead set purchase mode. So I'm sure the next time I go out, I'll find a place that I can develop this roll of film and ask if they've got a 5-pack. Because I don't plan on running through it very quickly. I think it's maybe $70 or $80 per pack of 5. That's what I saw online, but now that sounds too cheap. But maybe slap some film in there and run through it. But I can see how it's just really expensive. But I don't know, if I exposed 5 rolls a year times 36, math is hard. Don't do math on camera, guys. You only get yourself in trouble. 36 times 5. It's 180 photos. That'd be nice. I mean, that's plenty of photos, especially if you're getting them developed. But, yeah. So this is me beginning the film experience. So far, it's nice. I have no idea how the photos look. Wondering if I'll share the results. Surely, I don't know if they're car worthy. They might not go on my main car account, but I'll probably put them on my personal Instagram, which if you're interested in that, you just search my name. I was going to make this some sort of treasure hunt. You got to find it, but it's you just search my name, and that's kind of my personal account, which I don't really use anymore. But I'm excited. So I suppose, well, I'm going to end with this because it's an interesting point. So, I've kicked around the idea of doing a full film photo shoot. And I think what'll end up happening is any, automotive photo shoot I end up on in the future, I'm sure there will come that, golden hour sunset moment, or, I got the car framed up in a cool location. I'll bring the film camera out and probably grab 1 to 3 photos on that photo shoot, and that'll just be the extent of me grabbing, a film shot on an automotive shoot. I don't plan on doing a full film automotive shoot, though I think I could. It would be an interesting shoot because it would probably take the same amount of time to go to a couple different locations and get the sunset shots and all that kind of stuff. Or if we're doing rollers and whatnot, I don't know how to do a roller from a film camera. That sounds like asking for trouble. But that'd be interesting. Shoot a full roll on a just pure film automotive photography. It's an idea. You got to pick the right car. I feel like it's got to match the vibe. But yeah, I figure I'll throw it in the camera bag. It'll come with me, and if there's a shot there, I'll snap it. I obviously will probably weigh a little heavier to the automotive side. I went out last night to grab some food, and I ended up picking up a little bit of, I snapped like 3 or 4 shots of the car on a nice little like palm tree wall. So yeah, it's probably going to be just like one of those kind of cameras for me. Grab a couple shots where I feel like it's appropriate, hopefully have it on me the majority of the time, and then, document some life events as well. Yeah, sounds nice. And it's summertime too, so I imagine there's going to be some beachy summer vibes. Oh, another thought I had when I saw the long lens come out of the bag. 300 mil, and then there's also a 2x converter in the bag as well. So I can technically get all the way out to 600 millimeters for my focal length. That's insane. First and foremost, with my camera setup currently for my digital world, the longest lens I have is a 70-200, and then on my camera I have this like 1.5 times crop thing, so I'm able to get to 350, which seems pretty decent. Actually, is that 350? That's 300, isn't it? I don't know why I've been thinking 350 this whole time. 300. Yeah, I think that's how math works. But yeah, I'm just thinking, going to a track event, if I was to pull this bad film camera out, like, imagine that. Your 600 millimeter focal length, you're just like snapping away. That's some gnarly stuff. And on top of that, it's all manual focus. So you really have to either rotate and drag with the car somehow, or I guess if you're far enough away, set the thing to infinity and don't even worry about it. But I think at 600 mil, there's going to be some separation from the background for sure. So that'll be an interesting one to test out. Figure I'll bring it to the track, and that's a video in itself. Shooting an automotive photography kind of thing with a film camera, that I feel like that could maybe get some clicks on YouTube. But then the bigger one is I shot a track day with a film camera, and it's just me with my 600 millimeter lens all the way drawn out. Yeah, that could be pretty cool. But we'll see. We will see. It's an exciting time for me. Going to be testing that out. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. And the last thing, double check I'm recording still. Yay, we're still recording. Last thing is, when I went out for my little photo walk last night, I really went through a drive-through for dinner. It was really unhealthy. I'm back on the canes thing, which is really unfortunate. But you sit at the desk for a long day. It's kind of the easiest thing. I don't have to cook. I don't have to think about it. I just pop in the car. It's a nice little clear your head moment. Drive through, canes, back to the desk. But yeah, I don't know if this is an unusual thing, and I've made mention of it once before in a video, but I prefer driving without shoes. Like, I feel like shoes are often very clunky, and they can get in the way of the feedback of the pedals, if that even makes sense. I know it's stupid, but bare feet, man. So I didn't even bring shoes yesterday. I grabbed a couple photos out of my car, which probably looked a little strange, me walking around barefoot, although I'm close enough to the beach where I feel like I can justify it. But yeah, I don't know. Shoeless is just the way to go. You feel like the brake pressure a little bit better. You know where your feet are in respect to other things. It's just better. So, interesting little tidbit there. We're going to end the podcast with that, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're enjoying these at all, I think I have like one listener, and it's me. But that's fine. It's not really what I'm doing this for anyway. It's a nice little like morning, clear my head. Plus, I like listening to myself in my headphones. So, I think we're going to keep doing it for a little while longer and get a couple guests on at some point. But yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for checking in with me on this little slice of the internet. Obviously, check out all my Instagram, YouTube channels, all that stuff. I guess there's no real description on Spotify, but if you start Googling Apex Pixel or Dylan Scarsoni, you're bound to find my stuff. So, yes, thanks for listening, guys. Hope you guys enjoy your morning, afternoon, evening. And that's all I've got for you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for listening.